These are some Compton siblings. On the left, we have, starting from the left, Chad, Marcielle, Jaye, Kamillia, Arden, and the front is Carrie, and then Larita on the bottom right. There were others with us, so starting back left is Marcielle, Jaye, Carrie, Rachel, Kamillia, Cheryl, Arden, and Chad, and in the front is Jennifer Lee, Jay's daughter, Terry, and then Larita in the front. Similar group, this photo includes Marene, Jay's wife, who's on the right of Jaye from our point of view, and Bryce Johnstun, Larita's husband, is on the far right, and Carolyn, Terry's girlfriend, is sitting next to him down in the bottom right. So starting on the left, we have Carrie, Kamillia, Marcielle, with Rachel sitting down on the floor in front. On the left, we have Terry, Chad in the middle, and Jaye Compton on the right. And this is Jaye giving emphasis to whatever story he's telling here. And this is Larita Compton Johnstun with Jennifer Compton Lee, aunt and niece.
Sitting in the front living room right there, just being stupid. That's all you can say about us. Is we were being
It's
stupid.
videotaping.
And she came up those little stairs into the hallway right there, and she looked at all of us, and she put her hands on her hip, and she said, "You make me so mad, I want to swear." And I went, "Oh, Mom's mad. I've never heard her say anything like that in my life."
What did you do to make her mad, though?
Well, we're just being stupid.
What would you define stupid?
Yeah,
Well, I don't remember.
She's
What,
too
we
stupid
were
to
just in the
define
front
it.
room, not doing what we were supposed to be doing. Whatever it was, and whatever it mattered. Pleasanton.
Pleasanton.
Yeah, it was in Pleasanton.
But here's the best
Only
description.
time I've ever heard Mom say she wanted to swear. That was it. That's the one time.
She
No, she didn't. She didn't swear. She just told us she wanted to.
But she didn't, because Nita did swear.
I know. And so.
And Grandma did too.
Didn't Uncle Kenneth swear too?
I don't know.
I thought he did.
If any of them ever had anything to do with Utah,
You're
they
looking at
swore.
yourself. Oh, now you're back.
Everybody in Utah
No,
swore.
I wasn't. I was doing my
I
mom.
don't.
Right, Mom.
I don't generalize.
That's the what I was doing.
Oh.
What were you doing?
So here's the biggest trick I ever played on Mom. Nancy and I got in trouble for going naked.
Where are you?
We were in somewhere in Washington, and I can't remember. I remember this house had a wall. There was a stone wall, a cinder block wall that ran along the back edge of the yard.
Yeah, we've got pictures of those. I remember
I just
processing those pictures.
And I remember walking that wall one time and falling off the wall into a snowbank and thinking nobody's ever going to come and rescue me. But in this story, it was summertime, and one of our neighbors was a taxi driver, and they had a kid who was our friend. And that little friend convinced us that it was okay to take off our clothes outside and just run around naked.
How old were you?
You were 13?
I was...
I don't know how you were.
I had reached puberty, I remember that.
Oh, for real?
Not in Washington.
You should know
just
better.
I say I want Nancy to confirm the story.
I'm not sure you ever reached puberty.
No, that's true. I'm working on it.
Okay. You were 6.
Okay.
Is that your doorbell?
5 or 6 years old. Anyway,
She's never heard it before.
Afton happened to walk by, and she saw us naked, and we knew when we were in trouble. She ran home and told Mom.
You're right. It's Jennifer.
So
Good call.
we got dressed real quick, and I ran
This is really
home,
turning into a party.
and I got a piece of a little music book. A little
Oh,
piece of
Jennifer?
music book out of the.
Jay's daughter, Jennifer.
Jennifer. Okay.
This is
Oh,
our
you
oldest,
Jennifer?
Johnstun Lee.
This is your Uncle Terry.
That's so good to see you. Yeah, it's good to see you too. What a party. Have fun.
One of the memories is
Nice to see you again.
Then I'm got worse.
Do we want to hear the rest of the story?
Yeah, what happened?
Okay,
Do we?
so
Dad's
So,
telling
hey,
us.
Just wondering.
I'm so sorry.
you kind of have to wait until there's an opening.
Sorry, I didn't want her to fall on that first.
I got to where you were gonna try to
Okay,
fix
so I
it.
ran home and I knew Mom had, I can't remember why, but she had a little music book, one of those paperback music books that you learn to play music from. And it's fairly flimsy, and I stuck it down my pants in
So
the
that when you got
back.
spanked.
Because I thought for sure, I'm gonna get spanked for this. So I stuck it back there, and I got
I
spanked.
never thought to do
And I
that.
remember crying while Mom was spanking me, and then I went out on the front porch and started laughing because I thought how cool it was that
You wouldn't know you were slapping a piece of
You
cardboard.
didn't feel it.
she told me later,
You
I
cried
didn't
because-
feel a thing, and she told me later that she laughed after I left because
She knew.
She knew what I had done. And she thought it was too cute to punish me for it, so she just let me get away with it.
I think you were just a lot smarter than the rest of us. I just would not think to do that.
I wouldn't have thought to do that.
I never got in the kind of trouble where Mom spanked me.
No,
I did.
I do not agree with that.
Okay.
She has
I got
stopped
spanked.
spanking by that.
That's true. She was
I am so
spanking.
sorry.
But I didn't. I also remember
I
Dad
remember
spanking all at once. And I remember
having to go
he was in
upstairs and
Virginia.
you telling me,
And I remember him chasing
get
me
ready.
down the hall.
and
grabbing
yeah,
him and
anyway, I won't
walking
record
For
that.
whatever he done. And I just that one, just that one.
But did Dad ever spank anyone? He never
Yes.
spanked.
Well, I
He never
just-
spanked
all the-
me.
racing there.
I got spanked once, and I remember it very well, and I remember why.
Why?
Tell us.
This is, Rachel, these little get-togethers are just too much tell-alls.
I was first grade. It was Old Columbia Pike. I think that would be first or second.
No, that wasn't first grade. Old Columbia Pike, I was 15. How you're 5 years you're 5 years younger than me. You would have been 10, 9 and 10 years old on Old Columbia Pike.
I guess. Oh yeah. Actually, speaking meanly to Mom.
Yeah, that,
Oh, well, then you
anything
deserved
would have
it.
done that.
Sad, but when I did it, Mom said that
you're going this, and do you think?
Mom said that she would talk to Dad when he got home, and she did,
And?
and he came and got me and spanked me.
Wow.
So,
Did it work?
do you stay home and always tell him?
He got a PhD.
You know, I
Well,
mean, it was heartbreaking.
Daddy
Okay,
spanked you?
let's hear Kamillia's story. What'd you do, Kamillia?
Do I dare?
Yes.
No,
I know, right?
I stuttered as a little girl because I couldn't get a word in edgewise. And it comes back every now and then.
Exactly who are you competing with?
Yeah. You
This
don't think there was
her-
anybody in my house at that time. Well, it's in comparison, of course.
Yes. do I
But
have
my
this on already?
my spanking came when it was time to kneel down around the breakfast table,
Yeah.
and I must have been slow, and I must have talked back. I can't imagine that, but maybe I did. I was about 13, and Daddy came and got me right there at the breakfast table, turned me over his knee, and spanked me.
Wow.
And I was so, I was humiliated and I was hurt. And then he took me into what was the office at one time and the bedroom at another. This was in Yakima. And I was so mad, so hurt. I was plotting how I could run away.
You did eventually.
Over here.
Fine.
I found somebody to take her.
Yeah.
And then Mother said later, you deserved it.
Oh, really? Holy cow.
Well, what was the office for?
Dad had an office in the house in Yakima.
I mean, why did he take you into the?
I don't want to.
Were you disrespectful in some way?
Oh, is that where you got spanked?
Spanking at the breakfast table. It was a good place.
Why did he take you to the office?
I was like being put in a corner, you know.
Oh.
Don't come out
Don't-
until
don't
I
say it.
also have a spanking story.
Yes.
We were living at Grandmother Compton's house in Weezer during the war, and I was very young. Would have been 5 or under. And Mother gave me a dime, told me to go to the store and buy a loaf of bread. So I went to the grocery store and bought the loaf of bread, but somehow I may not have come home on time or something. I don't know. I did something wrong. So she met me, and she had a willow in her hand.
You know, I have the little story also.
And I had a pair of overalls on, you know, the kind that you got straps coming over.
Yeah.
And they're loose out, And so I just pulled on the back of my overalls to make sure that there'd be plenty of air between my overalls and my bum. And so when she spanked me, I didn't feel it at all.
I'm two smart brothers.
Is that where the term weeping willow?
Down the street, walking in the wind, and I do remember it was a big wind. And she came after me with a willow, and she willowed me all the way home.
There must have been a willow tree in.
There must have been. Well, there was a willow tree because I was Jane, and I didn't have a Tarzan, but I did have the willow.
Is that where you got chasing us down the street from when we missed piano lessons and stuff?
Yeah, what's that
Mom?
word saying?
Well, it must have been a terrible wind.
It must have
No.
been. Wow.
I don't know.
But you said that you were, the rule was don't walk in the wind.
Mother told me not to go out in the wind.
In
That particular
specific
wind. That particular
Yes,
storm.
I don't think that wind itself.
Generally.
No, and you know, I was young. I was maybe in third grade, and so I might not have the story correct, but that's what I remember.
Do you know that breakfast table thing?
Yeah.
I remember as a little boy kneeling down for breakfast.
Oh my gosh.
Do what with it?
It went right in my mouth, of course.
Then you had an immediate headache.
Yeah, well, I had no idea at that time that sugar had that kind of an effect on me. But anyway, I thought I was being sneaky.
You were.
You were.
And this is the first time
I
I've
can't
confessed that great
imagine.
sin.
I can't imagine that they didn't realize you were doing that.
Oh, I'm sure someone must
I'm
have
like,
known I
if
was
a child
doing
were to
that.
climb up on the table and get a cube of sugar, you can't really.
Oh, I was sneaky.
No.
You know, Daddy used to take food off my plate when we were saying.
He did that to all of us.
I think
He
he did
took
that
a
to
sandwich that I
everybody.
fixed one time, a beautiful sandwich, and he came in and took it. I had it on the plate. I was getting ready to eat it, and he just took it. He said, "Thank you for fixing me a sandwich."
In this case, we were saying the blessing, and Daddy was sitting to my left, and I was like this, but I saw his hand be. But as soon as blessing was over, I said, "Daddy, you took whatever it was," and he said, "Well,
How do
the
you
Lord
know?
helps those who help
That's just like it. Oh my word! That's like that fruit stand on the way to church, and when we would go to Colfax, to the church in Colfax, and there was a
Oh, he did
Just
that when
eat
I
the
was a
fruit.
kid. He would eat it I remember going to the grocery store in
Yes.
Pleasanton.
Yeah.
And he just started eating the grapes as we're walking through, and I'm like, man, we haven't paid for this. And he just
And he
eating
didn't
as he
have any
goes.
issues with that at all. I
No.
was always so
Yeah,
surprised. I wanted to slap his hand.
I interrogated him about it.
Honestly.
Because I remember in Los Altos, and
Yes.
I was a senior in high school.
Yeah.
And you remember that fruit stand we used to go to? And I interrogated him about it, and he said, well, they have it built into their business plan. That is, if people sample the grapes.
You don't know how bad that sounds to an
So-
internal auditor?
No, I'll tell you where that justification comes
Okay,
from.
tell us.
Okay.
In the time of the Savior, it was the custom that you could eat as much as you wanted when you're walking through somebody's garden or their orchard or whatever, but you couldn't take anything with
Out
you.
with you. Yeah.
No, with
That
you.
was this when?
in the Bible.
Well, we
In the
got
Bible.
scriptural.
That is a convoluted explanation, if I've ever heard one.
That's true.
Is that true?
It's true.
Like not
I'm
all
sure I read that in Jesus Christ.
You can eat as many as you want because they're divine.
And he had no respect for a no
it
trespassing
has nothing
sign.
to do with
A no
divinity.
trespassing
This is just
sign
the
meant
practice of
keep
all
going.
people.
No, but they
Stop
come off
looking at
divine.
me.
They come off
No
divine.
trespassing, Jay.
Stop looking at me.
No trespassing signs just meant keep going, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That meant go, don't stop.
She's
Yeah,
so
I
funny.
think How funny for living life than
why we
what
should
I
have,
had,
like,
and
a
I have to
support group
assume that I got that
spouses.
from mom and not him. Because I remember when we were selling rebounders, I can remember watching him try to close a sale on a rebounder,
Oh man.
and I just wanted to jump over there and defend the poor person that he was. I mean, he was such a pit bull. And he would never let go. As soon as he saw a sale lingering, he would just.
What is a
Well,
rebounder?
well, the
Hey,
thing about
Party.
Yes.
It's a hug. Well, no, it was something not very significant. After all, it
We're all
was
listening.
good.
We're all waiting. Come on. This better be good.
This is earth shaking.
Okay.
From me and to the very last child, one of the things we have all in common is burnt toast.
Yeah. We
Isn't that
do.
amazing?
That's what it's
That
so
is,
good.
it is really true.
Really?
I mean, it drives
No.
Cynthia crazy.
No,
Does it?
Like the burn, because
It's just
apparently she didn't grow up with burned toast.
I
Not
don't-
many people do.
I don't burn my
have an
toast.
adverse reaction to it because I like things like pancakes doughy
I do
and
too.
rolls doughy.
Oh, really?
No, I remember though, Rachel, in your house, your mom
Oh,
always
she
made
always
those
had
pancakes.
Maureen?
No, the pancakes were always doughy though.
That person. Oh, there she
I
is.
remember them
I was looking at
being
you,
doughy.
and then I looked over here.
Tell us about your eyesight,
I
Artie.
remember them being doughy. You would make those big barrels, those big huge buckets of homemade pancake mix.
Who?
Marcielle didn't she? I have this memory.
A barrel?
Well, like a bucket, a 5-gallon, like a bucket, and you would put all the stuff in, and then you have the pancake mix. No, I
Was this
swear.
someone else's life?
Hey, Rachel's like, no, this did not happen. Never mind. Then
I wasn't there at the time.
She
mean,
made her
I
own
made
pancake
my-
mix like this
so
mix
Rita-
or something?
I made my own pancake mix. It's dry in that bucket?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you?
I think so.
These are called implanted memories.
She probably ground her own. She did. She ground her own wheat. She
Hey.
probably did.
I just remember her getting the bucket out. I mean, it wasn't a huge, it was just a bucket.
You know what she made her own, she ground her own wheat and made homemade wheat bread in the number 10
Mhm.
tomato cans and
Yeah,
stuff like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
She would.
Juice
You know what I
cans.
would do with those?
Oh,
Those
no,
loaves
not
of
that I
bread.
remember.
She would bake 8, 10 at a time, and I would always take one and I'd go trade it
For
for white Wonder
real
Bread.
bread.
Who do you trade with?
Yeah, who's
I
gonna?
would, I would trade it.
With somebody else.
With who?
No,
With who?
we never got Wonder Bread.
Okay, but who did you trade it with?
Like Dee Dee.
Oh,
Remember Dee Dee?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, that's funny.
I can tell
You
you.
didn't
That-
know that, Mom?
Well, how would I know that?
You know what that tells us, Rachel? You're a traitor.
And did you bring that white bread home? We
No,
never saw it.
I
it's all
would scrunch it up in my
Yeah.
hands and I'd eat it all by myself. And when I got a job, I would buy my own cold cereal and hide it underneath my bed so I didn't have to share it.
Well, that's
We
what
all
happens
did
when
that.
you grow up in that size
Was
of
that
family.
Cheerios or?
Well,
It was Captain Crunch Berries.
Did they have that then?
Yeah.
Fruity Pebbles. Here's a little bit of an art lesson for you. Wonder Bread is good for as an eraser.
Oh, really?
But Rachel's still here. She
Oh, my
didn't get
goodness.
erased.
No, I learned this
That
by
makes sure play.
I learned this by reading Madame Bovary.
Oh, yeah.
And so she was doing something, and she used some dough. So I wadded up some Wonder Bread, and it takes away charcoal and pastels. I've been able to clean up a pastel really well just with
serious?
Wonder Bread. So I
So
I-
cereal.
passed that on to my students.
I will have to share that with my son Peter because he draws with charcoal a lot now.
Yes.
My mom also made sprouted wheat
Wonder
hot
Bread.
cereal. It was tasted like.
Sprouted wheat.
What are you like I remember them making the. My mom would just take the wheat kernels, soak them overnight, and then boil them the next morning. Is that what you're talking about? Oh, I loved it.
Even
I didn't like it.
I loved it, and it made me
Because it was
so
like
sick.
eating
Yeah.
nuts.
It made me so sick.
The texture
But I
was
loved
like
it. What-
eating
Well, what
nuts.
made me sick was oatmeal.
I
Really?
loved it. I just
Oh,
thought
yeah.
it was so delightful.
Oatmeal went up
If
before
I
I'd
were
go to
feeling
school,
like
and
that,
by the time
I
I
would
got
eat
on the
that
bus,
every
I
day.
was just sick as a
I
dog.
loved it.
Well, that's also pretty
But
consistent.
I also knew it was
We
making
had
me
the same
very
thing.
sick.
You knew that.
Yeah,
I remember being in Maryland, I believe, and I remember being a little girl, and they made me a peanut butter and honey sandwich, and Mom had just made this wonderful loaf of whole wheat bread, and then she made me a peanut butter and honey sandwich and handed it to me, and I was just little, and I knew it was going to make me sick. I knew that was not something, but I ate it. I was a little girl, and they told me to eat it, so I ate it. But even then, I knew it was going to make me sick.
You know something? I think the girls in our family are known for their long feet. Put your foot out there. That's pretty long. Marcielle, Kamillia?
Subject change.
They're all,
Really doesn't
they're all,
have long
feel
feet,
good if
but
I
I
the bread.
half of it's my
I was
toes.
allergic to peanut
So
butter.
what is
And a few more photos. On the left, we have Rachel, Marene, Larita, Kamillia, and Marcielle. Lively conversation on the couch. And there's Chad chuckling with Carrie and Bryce Johnstun in the background. There is Jennifer and Jaye and Rachel. This has been narrated by Arden Compton. There's my lovely wife Cheryl. On the whole, it was a great afternoon having an opportunity to visit with Compton siblings and other family members.